Nation's nuclear secrets exposed. Information labeled highly confidential and sensitive gets posted on the internet, and our own government was behind it. The feds accidentally released a 268-page report showing maps of nuclear facilities all across the country, including detailed information about U.S. nuclear programs. The Obama administration now insists that our national security wasn't compromised. Joining us now, Henry Sokolsky, the Executive Director of the Non-Proliferation Policy Education Center. The government's argument is that this information was out there sort of in the public domain anyway. But if so, why were so many of these documents labeled confidential and safeguard?
Well, they were out in the public domain, scattered for sure. They were marked that way because before we ratified the agreement that required us to share it, that's how these things are treated. So it's not a proud moment in bureaucratic history, but I don't think the danger associated with these things is as straightforward as reported. Actually, to the extent that people are saying that these pieces of information are opening us up to vulnerability, they kind of poke a little bit of fun at a lot of the programs that were discussed, which claim and were sold to Capitol Hill as being programs to make it far less likely for terrorists to ever be able to get their hands on nuclear weapons usable materials. Presumably, if the release of this information is dangerous, we need to relook at how safe these programs are and whether they were oversold to begin with.
Yeah, well, you know, we're looking at the interior of the control room of a nuclear plant. We were looking at some cooling towers from nuclear plants and so forth. I mean, that kind of stuff is obvious. Those don't move. But it's my understanding that part of this information included the location of fuel for nuclear bombs. I mean, we're talking highly enriched uranium, right?
Right. We are talking about that, but we are also talking about, dare I say it again, stuff that was publicly available before.
So if I wanted to do a Google search, I could find out where the U.S. stores its highly enriched uranium?
The civil stuff, yes. That was on the web before. So the argument that's being made is that, well, physical security should be enough, the gates, fences, and guards, so knowing the exact location of the plant, which was publicly known before, shouldn't make that much difference. I do think in general what we need to do is seize this moment to ask more fundamental questions, which, if this is exciting us, we need to be asking, how are we with the idea of promoting the sale of big reactor programs in places like the Middle East? We're doing that, and we're claiming, oh, there's no issue there. Well, maybe there is a bit more of an issue, and I think we need to be thinking more broadly about why we're so agitated by this news.
Well, I guess, you know, the question is, if a terrorist wants to target a nuclear site and we give him a roadmap to it in this country, that seems like a pretty big deal.
Well, the roadmap used to be available on the Nuclear Regulatory Commission for every one of our plants so that people could judge for themselves as to whether or not the plants were properly built. So we've taken that information down, and so now when we release information on 4 of the plants, people are getting excited about that. Now, I don't know if that's a complete thought. You know, maybe we need to be asking, are nuclear power plants something we can't talk about in public about, you know, how they're built, because that would somehow be a terrorist help. If that's the case, then you're going to start asking questions, should we be building these things?
Well, it seems like somebody
no one's asking. Yeah, so somebody needs to start asking more fundamental questions.
All right, Henry Sokolsky, thank you.